Good morning, sixth grade students. That was creepy, I know, I apologize. I can remember when Usain Bolt first really made it a name for himself at the Olympics. And I remember being at home and watching his world record breaking runs. And I remember thinking to myself, man, how fast is this guy running? And I never really figured it out back then, exactly how fast he was running. I know now. But I always wondered, like, how fast do I run compared to him? Now, normally if we were in class, we would go out to the field and I would have you guys set up at the far end of the soccer field. And I would say, all right, when I blow my whistle, you guys are going to take off running towards the gym building as fast as you can. But when I yell stop, you stop wherever you're at, because at that point, that's when Usain Bolt would be touching that finish line of the gym wall. And on all the years that I've done this, I have the closest I have had to someone being remotely close, which wasn't even close at all, was about just after the halfway line of the soccer field when Usain Bolt was already touching the wall. So it's pretty cool to see, to kind of compare yourself and your speed to how fast the fastest person in the world was. So I want you to picture something. Imagine if you're starting, you're at the starting line of a race, a sprint, and you hear the starting gun go, and you take off running, and you're running as fast as you can. And at 6 seconds, you are 48 meters from the starting line. Well, we know that the 48 meters, that's the distance that you have traveled. To know how fast you ran those 48 meters, we would need to add another factor. Can you guess what that is? I'll give you a hint. It has seconds and minutes and all of that. That's right, time, okay? If I divide the distance traveled by the amount of time that it takes to travel that distance, we can determine speed. Well, what's the definition of speed? That's the rate or how fast that you ran. Okay, so let me show you something really fast. If I have this equation right here, if I divide 48 meters, that's how far I ran, by 6 seconds, remember that's how fast I ran that, it tells me that my average speed was, anyone want to take a guess? I take my distance and divide it by time. 48 divided by 6, come on, math whizzes tell me that's right. It is 8 meters per second. Now, why did I use m/s? Well, I did my distance in meters, so that's the first label I'm going to put. The slash means per, like miles per hour, meters per second. And then my time was in seconds, so I would put an S for seconds. Feel like that when I run, but I'm really looking like that as I run, especially as I get older. Now, speed is measured in length units per time units. That would be like meters per second, miles per hour, and they're not always the same. We change that depending on what we're measuring the speed of. So for instance, this runner right here would want to measure their speed in meters per second, because most races are meters or kilometers. But my car speed is measured in kilometers per hour, or what we do in the United States, unlike every other country in the world, we use miles per hour, and that's probably what you are most familiar with. So I have MI, which is short for mile, slash, which is the per, and H, which is hour. Now, you're probably familiar with the speedometer in your family car. I'm sure some of you have a parent who likes to test that speedometer and see how fast they can get it to go. Well, the speedometer registers how fast a car can go in kilometers or miles per hour. The numbers on the outside here would be the miles per hour. The numbers on the inside are the kilometers per hour. The speedometer here measures what we call the instantaneous speed. It's telling me the speed at one particular moment. So here's the difference to think of. And when I'm looking at a speedometer, I'm looking at how fast I'm going at that exact moment. But we usually use the average speed to calculate distance and time. So if we determine the distance that a car has traveled, we multiply its average speed by the amount of time that it takes to travel. So if we want to determine the distance a car travels, we would multiply its average speed by the amount of time that it travels. So for example, if I have a car that's going 100 kilometers per hour and it's been doing that for 2 hours, how far did it travel? Well, here's what I would do. I would multiply again. I have my 100 kilometers per hour times 2 hours. I would get 200 kilometers. Now, when we use these things, I'm going to give you an activity tomorrow to practice this. We have our distance, speed, and time triangles. And this is going to help you out a lot, especially when I give you some of the math problems that you'll have to use. Yes, we are using math and science. Mind blown. We use a lot of math and science, and now is your turn to try it. Like I always tell you, I am totally okay with you using a calculator in science because it is not math class. So get your calculators out and type away. So if we're finding distance, I know that distance, if I want to find the distance, I'm going to take the speed of something and multiply that by the time. If I want to find time, I'm going to do distance divided by speed, distance divided by speed. If I want to find speed, I would do distance divided by time. This little triangle right here will help you out a lot. Attached to my PDF form, I have also put my own journal notes on there for you to look at. Tomorrow, I'm going to be giving you guys an assignment on how to figure out the speed of certain things. If you want to figure out the speed of how fast you run, I'll give you bonus points. So in order to do that, you need to find a specific distance. So the easiest thing you can do, for me personally, I know that if I take one long step, it's probably about the size of a meter. So I can count out, let's just say 20 meters, okay? And I have a starting line and a finish line. Starting line, I just put a cone or a shoe or something like that. And then as I want to check my speed, I have a stopwatch, or I could use my phone, or I guess if you don't have any of those things, you could have someone just count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi as you run. I guess you could try that. So it wouldn't be exact. If that's all you have, that's all you're going to use. As soon as you start running, start the time. When you cross that finish line, stop the time. And you'll take the same formula that I just showed you, where you have your distance and you have your time, to find out your speed. Now your measurement would be in meters per second. If you want to know what it is in miles per hour, I will attach a website you can go to convert that to miles per hour. You guys have a great night.